Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the informal setting for this morning's video. I just wanted to share with you, Purim is coming up, and we'll talk about Purim in the next couple of days. One of the themes of Purim, which I think is the most fantastic and astounding theme that we can just focus on, is the idea that we see from the Purim story that the way that Hashem works, one of the ways that the master of the world works, is that he puts into place the solution to the problem before he allows the problem, the potential problem, to begin to unfold. So therefore, the solution is already there when the person or the people involved decide to activate the solution. It's already in place, ready to go. This idea is called makdim refuah lamaka, that God puts the cure or the healing into place before he brings about the illness. It'd be sort of like, if you went to a doctor and the doctor anticipated somehow that you could potentially have a certain disease, and he gave you a medication in advance so that when the disease would eventually come, it would be uprooted before it even happened. That's the idea of makdim refuah lamaka. And where do we see that in the story of Purim? We see it in a number of places, but one of the places is that there's a little side story that doesn't seem that important or relevant, where two individuals, their names were Bigsan and Serish, were they were plotting, to overthrow the king, Achashverosh. And they were doing so in their local dialect, in their own, language. It happened to be that Mordechai HaYehudi, Mordechai, the leader of the Jewish people, who was a member of the Sanhedrin and therefore understood 70 languages, was overhearing this plot to overthrow the king, which he duly reported to the king's ministers, and it was recorded in the book of Chronicles. The next thing that happens in the Megillah is that Haman, is promoted to be the prime minister. And Haman, of course, is the Makkah. He is the problem. He's the one that comes up with the final solution to annihilate and wipe out the Jewish people. But before that happens, before Haman rises to power, the refuah, the healing, is put in place. Because what happens eventually, what turns the whole story around, is when the king finds out that Mordechai had saved the life of the king and had reported the attempted coup plot to the ministers. That is the moment when the king changes his mind and decides that Haman's plan to destroy the Jews has to be eliminated. So you understand what I'm saying? The refuah, the healing, was there beforehand. It reminds me of a story. I once met a person many, many years ago who told me that he was a grandchild of a woman who lived in Poland. She had 9 children, and while giving birth to her 9th child, she died in childbirth. Terrible tragedy. The whole community, the whole village was devastated. But what happened? The husband had 9 children and no wife, so he took in a Polish nanny to raise the kids, which she did. For years and years, this nanny raised the children like they were her own. And then in 1938 or 39, when the Nazis came into the village to wipe out all the Jews, this Polish nanny took these 9 children that were like her own, and she hid them, and they all survived. And every other Jew in the village was wiped out and annihilated. And this man was the grandchild of this woman. So you see here, it was a terrible thing. This woman dies in childbirth, but it was the refuah, it was the healing, it was the solution to the problem before the problem was put in place. And that's how Hashem runs the world, in our lives too. So we have to know, we have to remember, we have to keep in mind that Hashem is always there with us behind the scenes, arranging the situation, setting things up for our lives so that we can be happy and successful and fulfilled in everything that we're trying to do. Something to think about as it relates to Purim and as it relates to our lives. Have a great day, everybody.